What should AI do? Another interesting question. Thank you for joining me as we continue in this series investigating what is AI. I'm Gary Locklear, professor of computer science, but more importantly, husband, father, and grandfather. What kinds of things should AI do? Now, we've been discussing a little bit what AI can do, and we will continue to investigate that subject for sure. But today, let's take a look at least begin to take a look at what kinds of things should AI do? Let me start with an example illustration. Oh, then before we do that, we better set the stage again, right? Here is the definition that I've been working with, trying to set the stage for what is AI. First of all, we can think of AI as human attempts to fashion intelligent entities. Of course, today in the 21st century, those entities are computer systems. So another way of thinking about AI is as autonomous computers acting with plan and purpose. How might we recognize AI? Well, when computers perform actions that would require human intelligence to do, then we can rightly say that's artificial intelligence. Now, here's a current example. Keep in mind as we go through today that this is all about what should AI do. This is an example that my oldest daughter gave to me recently. She said she's been using AI to help with meal preparation. I was not aware of that. So I looked some things up, and you can find lots of different AI recipe generators that do all kinds of different things. My daughter shared with me that she likes to have recipes rather than in English units, pounds and ounces, in metric units like grams. So they'll convert that. But notice on this AI recipe generator, hey, what should I have for dinner? Well, here's what I have available. Here's the ingredients. How many people are we cooking for? And what kind of cuisine do you want with that? Ah, and AI can come up with a tailor-made recipe for you. Or another another AI tool will allow you to say, look, I want food that contains these kinds of ingredients, but I don't want these kinds of ingredients. Or can you change this recipe to use less salt? Can you substitute something else for it, etc.? This is a interesting and, as far as I can tell, something that AI should be doing for us. By the way, that was my oldest daughter. When she was little, my youngest daughter came up to me one day and asked, Dad, did I inherit my intelligence from you? And of course I said, well, yes, you did, my smart little girl. And my youngest said, I thought so, because mom still has her intelligence. Don't forget that AI is not some future pie in the sky ideal. Artificial intelligence exists today. In previous videos, we've seen that. We'll see it again too. But AI is something that exists today and is useful in many arenas. For example, GPS. Do you use your phone to try to figure out where you are or where you might be going? In a previous video, we saw machine learning making shopping recommendations. The next time you come back to an e-commerce site, you might be interested in this also. Hate to do housework? How about a robotic vacuum cleaner that learns not only the dimensions and your space, but also where it's dirtier to focus on that? I'm assuming that you write email, you create text documents. Do you use spelling and grammar checking? Yes, that's also an illustration of artificial intelligence, preventing fraud in banking, and many other activities. These are all things, very useful tasks that AI currently does. But what should AI be doing? This is Bill Gates. Bill Gates, some of you may know, was the founder and at one time CEO of Microsoft Corporation. Back in the day, when it was founded in the second half of the 20th century, Microsoft was two words, Microsoft or microcomputer software. Some of you may be familiar with some of the ideas that Bill Gates has. He has some pretty creepy ideas and creepy predictions. Here's one news article talking about a recent interview from Bill Gates. Bill Gates has warned that AI will render many jobs obsolete in the coming years, automating roles across multiple industries. But amid the uncertainty, Bill Gates has identified three professions that will likely survive the AI revolution, at least for now. Here are the three that will survive the AI revolution: coders, programmers, computer scientists. I find that interesting. Actually, as a computer scientist, I think this might be one of the first ones to go, but Bill Gates says no. Energy experts and biologists. For some reason, and related to Bill Gates' worldview, these are three that will last a long time. But we should be suspicious. If you know anything about Bill Gates and followed any of his writings and thinking, his worldview is suspect. Here's the headline from one article about Bill Gates related to what he just said here in his worldview. Bill Gates says the emergence of AI could require the emergence of a new religion. Here's a quote from Bill Gates. The potential positive path of AI is so good that it will force us to rethink how we should use our time. Bill Gates believes that AI will solve any and all human problems. Continuing, you can almost call it a new religion or a new philosophy of how we do stay connected with each other and not be addicted to these things that will make video games look like nothing in terms of attractiveness of spending time on them. It is fascinating that issues of disease, famine, of enough food, and of climate, if things go well with AI, those will largely become solved problems. See, AI is going to solve all human problems and misery. So, Bill Gates goes on, the next generation does not get to say, okay, given that these things that were massively in shortage are now not, how do we take advantage of that? Here's the insight from one commentator. Gates seems to be saying that AI could usher in a radically different world. This world could potentially have no concept of money, shortages, and most diseases would be eliminated. As such, humans could need a different conception of gods and philosophies to lead their lives. It is a compelling point. Many conventional religions do treat relationships with God as transactional, not Christianity, with people giving prayers, donations, and sacrifices in return for their wishes being fulfilled. It's not a true explanation of Christianity, of course. In a world where there's infinite money and no disease, will humans have to come up with a new God to help guide their actions? You may wonder, why doesn't Bill Gates just say, let's use Christianity as our model to help us deal with artificial intelligence? Well, if you know Bill Gates, he would not entertain a Christian worldview. Here's a different commentator on what Bill Gates has said. Well, Bill Gates' assumption is that tech will make obsolete at least some of the world, sorry, will make obsolete at least some of the words of Christ, such as, you have the poor with you always, as in always there for you to help and serve, in the context of Christian vocation. Now, one might say that if physical sickness and hunger are solved problems, many might still, or especially, suffer from mental and spiritual illness and thirst. But even that logic is not what Gates is interested in. See, this is key. We need to understand the designers of AI and their worldview. We need to understand the people behind the companies and their worldview. We need to know about them. We need to know why they're doing what they're doing. What is their motivation? Can I share with you, my wife has a little test to figure out if you should listen to or believe a physician. Here is her test. Can you believe or trust what your physician has to say? It's a very simple test. She asks, how many genders are there? If they do not know that the correct answer is 2, why should we believe them about anything else? Yes. Now, I'm fond of saying that a computer is a tool. A computer is a tool to help people solve problems. Computer scientists, the vocation of a computer scientist is to create true, beautiful, and good computer systems to help our neighbors solve problems. But don't be misled. Oftentimes I'll hear people say, oh yeah, it's just a tool, but it's a neutral tool. A computer is neither good or bad. False. Computers have never and will never be neutral tools. A computer is a tool, but it is not neutral. Neutral in an ethical or moral sense. All computers are created with intent. Their human creators and designers have a worldview, an ethical and moral perspective. And computer systems can be designed for ethically good purposes and morally bad purposes. Beyond that, computers are used with intent. Users are not neutral. Human beings are good or bad. And sometimes that refers to the same person, right? In the future, we're going to spend some time discussing this myth of neutral technology. For now, I'll leave it there. And I will share with you what my boss told me recently. She said, 80% of the brain is fluid, but in your case, it's brake fluid. My boss really wants artificial intelligence. So today's question, what should AI do? Here are some things that AI is currently doing. Should AI be doing that? And we recognize there's a difference between what could be done and what should be done. Just because I can do something, should it be done? The shoulds are always a more important question. The whys, the wherefores, the ethical and moral issues surrounding our worldview. Should AI conduct job interviews? It does. There have been a number of recent hilarious comic strips pointing this out, where they're doing an online interview, and you can see the interviewee. She's sitting at a computer, of course, watching on Zoom or remotely as you're doing right now. And when the interviewer asks a question, she quickly types it into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT provides an answer, and she repeats that. Well, in the last panel, then you see the interviewer who is looking at questions from ChatGPT. Should we just get rid of that and just have AI conduct the job interview? Or should we have artificial intelligence fly airplanes? Should we replace pilots with artificial intelligence? Or should AI diagnose illnesses? Should we replace human physicians with artificial intelligence? Often people have a knee-jerk reaction. Oh, no, that would be horrible. Yet, we've seen, unfortunately, recently and all throughout history, well, how human error has caused crash of an airplane, loss of life. We've also seen, and maybe you have personally experienced, how human physicians have misdiagnosed. You know, when you go into surgery, they hand you a Sharpie so you can write on it, this knee. No joke, right? Exactly. Human beings make mistakes. So, although it's easy to have a knee-jerk reaction and say, no, no, not if an AI system can fly a plane better and safer, if an AI system can diagnose illnesses better and safer than a human doctor, should it? Hmm. Let's ask a different question. Will AI replace people? By that, I mean their job function. Now, some people, maybe even Bill Gates, believes that AI will literally replace people. And in a future segment, we'll talk about this concept of transhumanism. But will AI replace people? And by that, I mean, will it take over job functions? I'm not going to investigate will AI get rid of people, but it will replace what they do. Could AI replace a college professor, for example? Yes, it will. Will AI replace human job functions? Yes, it will. That's not just a prediction, it's current fact. Now, to understand this, let's take a historical trip, shall we? Let's go back into the more carefree days before we were concerned about artificial intelligence, back to the days of elevator operators. Now, some of you have no idea what I'm talking about. Elevator operator? Elevators have been around for quite some time, middle 19th century, where they were powered by steam. In the 20th century, the first modern skyscraper was produced in Chicago. It was 10 or 12 stories high at the very end of the 19th century, and it had elevators. I mean, climbing 10 flights of stairs takes a little bit of effort, right? So we mechanized that. Initially, elevators had specialized folks, elevator operators, because they weren't mechanized. You opened and closed the doors manually. They had a big lever that made the elevator go up or down, faster, slower, stop at the floor, check it out, open it up, in and out, etc. So at one time, to use an elevator, we needed a highly trained human being, an elevator operator. And even in the mid 20th century, when elevators became much more automated, there were still inside elevator operators. They would push the button for you. My mother talks fondly of going to Chicago and going to Macy's, and then there were the elevator girls, and they would, they're all smartly dressed. They're very polite. Where would you like to go? Do you know what floor? And they would do all that for you. Yeah. What happened? Well, one social thing happened. That was the elevator strike in 1945. But really, what happened is as automation became more widespread and everyday folks became accustomed to it, we really didn't need elevator operators. What do you suppose happened in the mid 20th century? You go to work, And you're used to talking to Zeb, the elevator operator, every day. And one day you come to work, you work on the 7th floor. There's a sign by the elevator, automated, push the button. Do you know what people's reaction was? I'm not getting in that thing. Where's the elevator operator? I'm taking the stairs. Well, that worked for a few days. Let me ask you this question. Would you be afraid to get into an elevator today in the 21st century without an elevator operator? Of course not. You'd be afraid if there was an elevator operator. Who are you? I'm the elevator operator. Whoa, I think I'll just take the stairs. Elevator operator is not well, you will find them in governmental facilities and other high-class hotels, but it's not a typical job. It was replaced by automation. That job no longer exists. Do people still exist? What did the elevator operators do? They found other meaningful tasks. Did you know that the word computer originally applied to human beings? In the mid 20th century, in the 1940s and 50s, if you used the word computer, it applied to human beings who, excuse me, computed. Ah, this is a room full of human computers. These are women who created ballistic trajectory tables during World War II. A ballistic trajectory table is basically a manual on how to aim properly a large gun. You have to account for things like temperature, pressure, humidity, and actually the curvature and movement of the earth when you shoot a large shell off a battleship 25 miles. So to do it accurately, you need a book. The book is referred to as a ballistic trajectory table. The United States Army employed rooms full of women. And what they do all day long? Partial differential equations and other, horrible tasks. Mind-numbing, difficult tasks, to be sure. You might ask, why was it a room full of women? The men were out shooting the big gun, etc. Can you get a job as a human computer today? No, you cannot. What did these women do when we no longer needed them because we had computer systems? Answer, they found other meaningful tasks to do. So we don't have elevator operators today. You know, I had to look this up. I don't know anything about elevators. I personally am terrified of elevators. I'm taking steps to avoid them. I've heard that some people tell long, boring jokes on elevators. That is so wrong on so many levels. Better start laughing or I'll keep doing it. Okay. My wife prefers elevators, but I prefer escalators. I guess because we were raised differently. Nobody goes to school today to become a computer. We use computers as tools to do mind-numbing computations and calculations. So human beings, their job functions have already been replaced by computers. AI is a very useful tool to free us from mundane, mind-numbing tasks. There's lots of mental drudgery that people sometimes do. The person that you see here is Johann Kepler. Kepler is my second favorite scientist of all time. He was a Lutheran and an astronomer. And it was Kepler who, in the 17th century, proved that the sun was at the center of the solar system and the planets went around that. You're saying, what about Copernicus? Now, Copernicus had it all wrong, and he didn't do the math. It was Kepler who said, yes, this idea makes sense. And Copernicus wasn't the first to suggest the sun at the center either. But Kepler spent years and decades showing mathematically that the sun was at the center of the solar system. Now, doing these computations was just horrible. Kepler hated doing that, but he knew it needed to be done. One day, Kepler wrote his friend. His friend happened to be my favorite scientist of all time, who you see on the left here. That person is Wilhelm Schickard, a Lutheran pastor and professor at the University of Tübingen in Germany, who I look to as the person who created the world's first mechanical calculator and set computer science on a solid footing 400 years ago. When Schickard got this letter from Kepler, he said, wait a minute, doing addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, that's not like brain surgery. Couldn't we create a tool to free and liberate my friend from this hard mental drudgery? And that's exactly what he did in 1623. More than 400 years ago, Schickard created the world's first mechanical calculator, put the numbers on the dial, spin the levers, and it would do the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. AI is perfectly suited to do these mundane tasks. But should AI take over human creative tasks? AI should do mundane tasks. If I asked you to calculate the first 1,000 prime numbers, you'd go, what a punishment. We have computers that can do that. Good. So I firmly believe that AI should be doing lots of mundane tasks that would allow human beings to do other things that are more creative in nature. I also believe that AI should be doing those tasks that are subservient to human will and decision making. What do you think AI should do? To answer that question, you need to know some things about AI, its capabilities, and you certainly need to know some things about worldviews. We've been discussing that, and we will continue to do so. I wish I had all the answers. I'm working through these right now along with you. To help me, I always go online at Facebook. Sorry. It's a joke in my family. I have a Facebook account. I go on it, maybe once a year or something like that. Facebook can be a very good tool if you understand how to use it. On the other hand, you see those IQ tests on Facebook? That can actually tell you a lot about intelligence. If you believe the results, you're not very intelligent. Here is an example of what I think is a great application of AI and something that AI should be doing. Last year in a hackathon, a group developed a smart helmet for construction workers. And the goal of this is to both monitor the person wearing the helmet with sensors and also receive real-time data about temperature, pressure, humidity of the surrounding area. And then running through AI algorithms, watch out and see, is this user, are we getting to the point where we might suffer from heat stroke? Wow. I think that is something that AI not only can do, but is something that it should be doing, helping human beings subservient to our will and just making sure we don't go too far and too hard. Here's what the designers said. Using artificial intelligence and SAS, which is software tool, with Python, which is a programming language, we constructed a heat stroke prevention system by collecting and analyzing data from construction workers' helmets. Interesting. Why have I been harping on creativity? Creativity is a gift. Creativity is something that human beings not only use, but enjoy using. Creativity is a birthday gift from our Creator. Then God said, this is Genesis 1, verses 26 and 27. Then God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. We are creative because that's part of the image of God given to us on our birthday. I shared with you before the story of Bezalel. This is Exodus chapter 31. The Lord said to Moses, see, I have called by name Bezalel, the son of Uri, son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah. And I have filled him with the Spirit of God. I have filled him with the Spirit of God. And with ability, intelligence, knowledge, and all craftsmanship, to devise artistic designs, to work in gold, silver, and bronze, in cutting stones for setting, and in carving wood, and to work in every craft. J.R.R. Tolkien referred to human beings as sub-creators. He said, we were created in God's image to sub-create. And for Tolkien, that was the creative efforts of created being. Sorry. One other thing that I came across recently, C.S. Lewis considered George MacDonald a spiritual mentor and master. MacDonald wrote a work sometime around 1900. It was called Diary of an Old Soul. It was basically a book of devotionals. And this is what George MacDonald wrote in his entry for March 3rd. And in the perfect time, O perfect God, when we are in our home, our natal home, of course, MacDonald means heaven, when joy shall carry every sacred load, and from its life and peace no heart shall roam. What if thou makes us able to make like thee, to light with moons, to clothe with greenery, to bring gold sunsets over a rose and purple sea? Will we be able to create as God creates in heaven? Interesting thought. Regardless, today on earth, we are sub-creators, using our God-given skills and abilities in love and service to our neighbor. What should AI do? There's a couple things that should cause us pause. For example, should AI be, I have to tell you this first one. Should AI be a companion or a friend? Let me go back. Did I miss it? I did not. I'm missing a whole slide. Should AI be a companion or a friend? If you don't know, there's all kinds of online AI friends out there. Is that a good you? You're lonely? Should you be finding solace in an AI friend? Should AI produce creative works? It's already doing these things. Should it? Should AI produce music? Should AI produce art? Should AI produce literature? Should AI do innovations? It's already going on. 5 years ago, if you did a web search for creativity, you'd find almost all the results about human creativity. If you do that today, you'll find even in the first couple results, AI creativity. It does all this now. What do you call an AI created book? Robo-copied. What do you call an AI created book? Artificial intelligence. Should AI work with emotions? Should AI work with ethics and morals? Extremely important question. What about emotions? Can artificial intelligence have true emotional intelligence? Right now, we're working on recognizing intelligence by facial expressions from human beings for a system. Can it have actual emotional IQ? And will that help us? Should AI make ethical and moral decisions? What will it be basing those ethical and moral decisions upon? These are some significant questions about what AI should be doing. Let's work through those together. How should we approach AI? Let me say that we should approach it with hopeful hesitation. Lots of good, lots of things that we have some concerns about. Hopeful hesitation. We must understand both the technology to a degree and the worldview of its designers. Both are important to understand. Using our God-given abilities, that is the rational mind God gave us as a birthday gift, and the discerning soul that God gave us as a birthday gift, we need to figure out, is this a true, good, and beautiful application of artificial intelligence? How should we approach AI? The Creator has given us some insight in His Word. Here are the words of Jesus in Luke 21. He's giving a warning to His disciples near the end of His earthly life. But before all this, they will lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and prisons, and you will be brought before kings and governors for my name's sake. This will be your opportunity to bear witness. Settle it therefore in your minds not to meditate beforehand how to answer, for I will give you a mouth and wisdom, which none of your adversaries will be able to withstand or contradict. You will be delivered up even by parents and brothers and relatives and friends, and some of you they will put to death. I, Christ says, will give you a mouth and wisdom. Thank you so much for joining me. I've appreciated being able to put this together and share some things with you. As I've stated in other videos, I don't know everything and I make mistakes. If you have questions, comments, and corrections, please send those to me. I'm very interested in your thoughts, your ideas, and your questions also. What are your thoughts and ideas about AI? Please share those with me. May I leave you with the following. Trust in the Lord and do good. In the land and befriend faithfulness. The steps of a man are established by the Lord. When he delights in his way, though he fall, he shall not be cast headlong, for the Lord upholds his hand. The mouth of the righteous utters wisdom, and his tongue speaks justice. How can that be? The law of his God is in his heart. His steps do not slip. The wicked watches for the righteous and seeks to put him to death. The Lord will not abandon him to his power or let him be condemned when he is brought to trial. So until we meet again, may the Lord bless you and keep you. Thank you for joining me. Have a great day.